Good day, everybody. This is the Hawk. As you know, many of our subscribers are being unsubscribed, and so if you see the red button below, please tap the red button for subscriptions. As you know, some of our suggested feeds have been knocked off. We understand that freedom of speech is under threat, so uh, please subscribe to my channel, enjoy, hit the like button, and share. Today I have a two-part video on Reba Sherrill. Um, it is an interview we did last week, and it's a candidate interview on this person who is running for District 21 in South Palm Beach, Florida, and just discussing many different issues, history of the United States, and her thoughts on what she wants to do in Congress. Voting in a month's time, and this is a very courageous lady who's in a wheelchair. She fought back to be where she is today when everybody gave up hope, and she's still fighting right now for the candidates of District 21. Here's the interview. This is part one, and there will be part two right after that. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, as I said, and please hit the like button. Thank you very much for watching. This is the Hulk. Good day, everybody. This is the Hawk. Today we have Reba Sherrill, District 21 Congressional candidate for District 21, Palm Beach, South Florida. She is competing against six other candidates for this. Five others, sorry, but there's six candidates, and one of them is believed that she has been endorsed by President Trump, which we absolutely do not believe. But Reba's going to tell you all about her campaign and what she stands for and what she feels about why she is the best candidate for this district in Florida. I must mention she is a Republican and a staunch conservative. Yes, she is. Hi, Reba. Thank you for being on my show, and I appreciate you being here. I know I've interviewed you. This is probably the third time now. And can you tell us more about your campaign and how's it going?
Well, it's really picked up the pace here recently. You know, we're 1 month out as of this Tuesday, 4 weeks, and on August the 18th. But voting has already begun. People are voting by mail. The ballots went out last week, and early voting will start on August the 3rd and go through the 16th. And election day is on August 18th. So it's very fast paced at this point.
Yes, it's close. It's right there. It's not very far away. And so I know that you've been on quite a few shows. Can you tell us some of the shows you've been on so people could go and look at your videos?
Okay, sure. Steel Truth and Vanderstill has interviewed me a couple of times. I've also been on National Notables, and that was a really great interview by Daniel back in January. Last night I was on Red Pill 78. Really enjoyed that. That was a 2-hour interview. It was it's had like 24,000 views over the last 24 hours. And I have done a lot of other interviews, like with Patriot Soapbox and the Marine, just a variety of different ones.
That's great. And what are your thoughts on Loma?
Oh wow. Well, Loma moved into the district just to run for this office, which I find curious and even a bit disturbing. Everyone else that's a candidate in this district has lived here for a few years or all their life. So for someone just to move in she had claimed that she wanted to take down AOC and Ilhan Omar and Nancy Pelosi, all these people, the Democrats. Well, why didn't she stay in New York where she lived and run against AOC if that was her ultimate goal? Like, why did she come to Palm Beach? I think it's that she just wanted to gain national attention, as she likes to do from time to time, and try to raise a lot of money, which she has done. She has raised a lot of money, but not in Florida. It's been from outside Florida and from very specific special interest groups.
That's interesting. I would think she would run in New York to beat AOC.
That would make the most sense, but then
Yeah.
she doesn't typically make decisions that are logical. You know, she
Yes.
claims to want to be in Congress, but she deliberately goes and breaks law, like trespassing on people's property and threatening other candidates, threatening people that have endorsed other candidates because she wants their endorsement for herself. So it's been quite interesting. You know, we've been the candidates in this race have experienced some mafia type tactics, and it's coming from a supposed Republican.
That's not cool. Given the situation in the United States today with Black Lives Matter, Antifa, burning of the flags, desecrating all the monuments, COVID-19, these are complicated situations that our country is facing right now, especially with the economy the way it is. We need to get millions of people back to work. What are your thoughts on these matters?
Well, I believe that the left, the Democrats, have been using these things as a smokescreen to distract people from what's really going on. Of course, we know that our president, Donald John Trump, has been working hard to take down the deep state, and he's been very methodical. I'm absolutely amazed at the miracles he has performed over the last 3.5 years of getting so much accomplished, more than any other president in my lifetime. And he's been fought every step of the way by the Democrats in Congress. They have put up all kinds of roadblocks, and he keeps pushing forward straight ahead. So he's working hard for the people, and we need to get people in Congress that will actually support his agenda and facilitate its passage so that we can have greater things done for the people of these United States.
I agree. You know, with you saying that there's going to be there's talk of massive indictments because of certain people being arrested for erroneous reasons, which was just a Democratic witch hunt, as we say. With many of the cases where we have Comey, Clapper, and all these other people, where they had FISA reports that were fabricated to spy on a sitting president or a candidate. What is your thoughts when you get to Congress on how these situations are not being, how can I say, dealt with in a lawful manner? I mean, if the law does not prevail, you have no law.
Well, we're seeing double standards all over the place, and Congress has really set things up that way. You know, they have sexual misconduct charges brought against different members of the House, and they take care of it with some slush fund. Like, that should not be happening. They aren't participating in Social Security. Like, why do they have a separate retirement than the people of the United States? Why do they have a different health care system? It needs to be consistent across the board. If they're passing things that are meant for all of Americans, it should apply to them as well. So it really needs to be restructured. I tell you, one of the things that I'm very passionate about, and that is campaign finance. Billions of dollars are wasted across this nation every 2 years for these elections. And when I entered this race, I was told you're going to need $3 to $4 million to win this race. And I said, no, it doesn't take all that money. That's just wasting all of those finances from hardworking Americans. You know, why should we be throwing our dollars away instead of doing something constructive? So I have a proposal that I will be presenting, and we don't need to be promoting people into a congressional seat and rewarding them if they spend more money than the other guy. And that's basically what it is right now. And so we're giving them the nation's purse to take care of all our finances, and they just keep going and taking more and more and more. So what I propose is that we put a cap on the spending, the amount that you can raise and spend for a campaign. On the local level, $10,000. On a federal level, for Congress, $100,000. For a Senate seat, $1 million. And for president, $100 million. Now, if you'll think back 4 years ago, HRC spent like around $1 billion for her campaign. Of course, she did not succeed. President Trump spent about half that amount, and he was very successful. It's not about the money, but everybody in politics always emphasizes the money, the amount you raise, the amount you spend. And it's unfortunate because it's encouraging wastefulness. And we need to encourage ingenuity, creativity. So if a congressional candidate is limited to $100,000 that they can spend over the course of their race, that's how much they can raise and that's how much they can spend, then they will have to get inventive in how they strategically spend those dollars instead of throwing them away. As you mentioned, one of my opponents in this race has raised, at the end of last quarter, it was around $500,000, approaching $600,000, and now it's like $900,000, round numbers I'm making here, but had already spent those dollars and has nothing to show for it. You know, like her campaign manager has gotten over $100,000 for the campaign. And different people that are working in her campaign are making a killing off of her donors. And what is there that's positive to show for all of those monies that have been raised and spent? So I think we want to encourage people to think like an entrepreneur. When you start a new business, you have to be careful. Most people don't have unlimited pockets that they can dip into. We don't need to be training our lawmakers to just think they can keep going back. I look at it as being akin to prostituting yourself, the way these candidates go and fundraise. And they put all of their focus on raising money. And I must say, you know, I am a supporter of President Trump, but I'm disappointed in his campaign because I signed up for his text messaging and his, because I wanted to know when he was having rallies, and I signed up for his emails. And not a day goes by that I don't get multiple text messages and emails begging me for money. And I'm sick of it. And I've been told you can't ask enough times, like there's not too many times. Well, people are getting sick of it. And one of the people in my district told me recently, last week, that they stumbled upon a fact that the Trump campaign had actually taken $2,000 out of their bank account that they did not agree to. Now, I don't know if it was an electronic glitch or they had accidentally clicked something they shouldn't have, and it was making repeated withdrawals. But the focus on money raised needs to go away. You know,
I agree. I'm getting the same I'm getting the same emails. I'm literally unsubscribing them, and the fast as I unsubscribe them, 10 more come from 10 different emails,
Yes.
and from almost every candidate you can think of. They're
I'm
all
getting them all.
bombarding us. They're coming up with the club this, the presidential that, and
Republicans of Florida, National Republicans. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And I don't react favorably to a hard sell. And that's what I see happening. And a lot of people I've talked to, they're unsubscribing from these lists. They don't want to get pestered 6 and 10 times a day. I mean, it's really gotten outrageous, the amount of things popping into my inbox. And so I'm not going to reward that with a contribution.
And you're right, because I looked at the last there was the one where Al Sharpton was running for candidate as president. He spent $500 billion. They raised all that money, and where did it go? They could have built 20 schools in the inner cities with that money for trade schools. Mm-hmm. Where did the money go? They wasted it on advertising that some media campaign got, and the media that's become a business. It's not really about solutions. It's about a business. It's just a business. There's a bunch of noise, and nobody's coming up with solutions to our general problems that we need to solve. That's why we send people to Congress. We need somebody that can solve a problem, not create one.
So I am doing politics differently. Good. And I've done it from day one. I have never asked for a donation, ever. Now, I have WinRed on my website. If people want to go and donate, I'll be grateful for it. Like, yeah. I could spend the money. Like, I need some money for different things, but I'm not going to beg the people, especially now with the coronavirus. People are out of work. They're struggling. Why should I go and beg? I have seen this other candidate say, oh, I'm short of my goal for the halfway point through the month, for the first month in the quarter, and just on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Like, really? You're going to go back and beg more money off people that are already hurting? Like, no. Congress has not been working for several weeks now. They need to get their ass back to DC and work for the people. They are collecting a paycheck, and they need to get out there and be productive. They need to start finding solutions to these issues. And so I am running my campaign like I will behave when I'm in Congress. I am not focused on how much money you can give me. I'm focused on what I can do for you today. And that's how I've been running my campaign.
That's what should happen. I was looking at your district. The average population there makes $54,000 a year. That's not a lot of money. Mm-mm. And there's two sides to that state. There's the very rich and the very poor. And it's sad because that's a beautiful place. It could generate a lot of money, and it just needs the right candidate. And I agree with you. There's too much. They say that there's 554 candidates in Congress, or senators, or congressmen. They make decisions for 350 million people plus in this United States. And yet we have these massive problems. And why? Because nobody's doing their job. They're just taking a paycheck. And it all looks nice and pretty in the waving of flags. But we need new blood.
We do. We need people that will actually go up there and change things. And that's what I will do. I'm already doing it. I've been working hard to bring changes. And I've got several bills that I'll be presenting when I get to DC. One of them is about campaign finance. And another one is about human trafficking. And we have a lot of people over the last many years who have been harmed by individuals and sometimes by the judicial system, and they have not been remedied. They need to be compensated for the abuses that they have suffered. And one of the pieces of legislation I will propose is that we have a window of opportunity for these people that have been wronged so that they can seek restitution in the courts.
Talking about that, I have a question for you. Is Florida a marijuana state?
We have medical marijuana, yes.
Only medical marijuana. Okay.
But people smoke it freely all over the place. Everywhere you go, you smell it.
My question is, almost 50% of our prison population are in jail for marijuana.
Yeah, can I just share something? You know, I've been in the wellness industry now for over 30 years. And something that I would provide for my patients when I was in the hospital setting was marijuana cigarettes, because being in oncology, they would oftentimes have problems with their appetite. They would have nausea and vomiting when they're getting these chemotherapy drugs and radiation. And so the marijuana would help them increase their appetite. It would help their nausea so that they could maintain their weight in a better fashion than without it. And it also, you know, the buds of the hemp plant are very powerful against cancer cells. Mm-hmm. And we need to utilize these natural things which can bring healing to some very serious and sometimes chronic diseases that have not been recognized and actually have been demonized by the AMA and Big Pharma, because they can't patent marijuana. That's why they don't want us to have it. They took it away from us about 80 years ago.
And you know, the hemp plant too, it has thousands and thousands of uses we could have used it for, and they demonized it.
They did.
To control it.
Yeah, you can make fabric, rope, even plastics type. Henry Ford, I mean, this was 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. Henry Ford made a car that ran on hemp ethanol, and the body was made from hemp fiber. Mm-hmm. And it was stronger, 10 times stronger than steel.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of very useful uses that we could implement in our everyday life.
Yeah. He was a very smart man. I heard that he made sure that he wanted certain packing boxes sent to his factories a certain way in a certain wood with certain holes in it. And what they didn't know was that was the dashboard. So they were sending him the engine parts and whatever in a crate that already had the dashboard made.
Wow.
So he was just take the box apart and put the dashboard on. It was free. He was a very smart man.
Prefabricated.
All they had to do was shine it up, put some varnish on it, and slap it in the vehicle.
I've put a lot of prefab buildings, so I understand that.
Yeah, he was a smart man. Yeah, he was a smart man. No, you know, we've got to think outside the box. We have to. Yeah. And we need to take this trade away from China too. We've got to take it away.
And we need to reward people that are actually producing, not people that are failing. You know, recently Ron DeSantis, he gave a big raise to all the teachers here in Florida. Why? They suddenly became wonderful teachers and the students are performing off the charts? No. Like, and I don't begrudge the teachers having a livable wage. Don't get me wrong. Like, I support our teachers. Mm-hmm. But, you know, they have been teaching these things that have literally been dumbing down the students. So why should we reward those kinds of curriculums? We had Common Core here in Florida until Ron DeSantis did away with it. But a lot of these teachers, I fear, are still incorporating these kinds of methods in their teaching skills on a daily basis because it was in place for quite a while.
So what are your thoughts on Common Core?
Well, I'm totally against it. I mean,
I agree.
these things that were brought down from the United Nations, the United Nations doesn't need to have their hand in anything going on in the U.S. And I would like to see the UN kicked out of New York. Like they don't need to have that on our lands. And we have a lot of UN soldiers on our lands here in the United States. I have seen them with my own eyes on various occasions over the last 20 years when I've been traveling around the country. And one time, it's probably been about 15 years ago, I went into a local city park in the state of Tennessee, and there were German soldiers carrying automatic weapons in the park on the 4th of July. Why? Why did we have foreign soldiers on our land on the 4th of July in our park?
Yeah.
I was very disturbed by that, and I just turned around and left. I was not going to stick around for this type of an invasion, and that's how I view it. It's an invasion. Why are we allowing this? Why are we permitting this? They should not be policing our streets or our parks. They need to go home and serve their country and protect their borders, just as we must do here.
So with regards to these riots, you were mentioning on one of your shows that you went to Washington and you were attacked by the demonstrators. They tried to surround you and shut you up.
Well, yeah, they didn't really physically attack me, but they did box me in, and they were trying to silence me, absolutely. I went up at the end of May to Manhattan, and I was protesting to reopen America because Wall Street, that's where our financial base is in this country, and for a lot of other countries around the world, they invest in Wall Street in the stock market. So I was there for 5 days, and the rioting started the day I arrived, that Thursday after George Floyd was killed. And so I got there on Thursday. I was there for 5 days, and then I went to D.C. And there in front of the White House, there was probably, I don't know, 300, 400 protesters. Black Lives Matter was the phrase of the day, and they had their usual chants they were saying. And I brought my protest signs, very positive messages of reopen America, Patriots Unite. And I had an impact. The police were very appreciative of my presence because I was the only real friendly face that was there. Mm-hmm. And all these other people were screaming and saying all kinds of hateful things in the faces of these police officers and soldiers who were there to maintain the peace. And it was, I heard some things that was really astounding to me, that American citizens would talk to our law enforcement in such a manner. It was really disgusting. But I was there, I was on the front line, and I was saying we can do more united than divided. And they actually joined in with me for a few minutes, and then someone noticed I had a Trump pin on the back of my wheelchair, and hell broke loose. Like they started attacking me verbally and surrounding me, and they boxed me in. They weren't letting me move, and I had been moving freely about the crowd. And I have my ways, trust me. I got freed from that in no short time. So
good for you. Good for you. That's pretty brave in a wheelchair.
I have to say. When I need to be.
Well, I'm proud of you. That's very good. I probably would have been punching my way out, but it was great. Good. I'm glad you made it out. Talking about the schooling, do you think that the teachers' unions are too powerful now? That they are influencing our children with socialist, communist ideas, and this liberalism that it's festering in our schools. That the kids think this is the normal thing. I mean, I remember when you went to school, you came home and you told your parents, "Mama, Mama, you're wrong. The teacher told me how to." Yeah.
I tell you, we have let the United Nations influence us so much, and not for the better. When I was young, every morning when we started our school day, we pledged allegiance to the flag. We had prayer, and we were very respectful of our teachers and our principals. And we were instilled with a very strong work ethic. What I see in the younger generations today who are going to these schools, whether they're private or public, they are being dumbed down. They're being indoctrinated, as you said, with socialistic ideas, communistic ideas, Marxist even. And they aren't being taught to be responsible citizens. They know nothing about civic duty. They don't give of themselves to the community. They're taught to be disrespectful to their parents, and even to turn their parent in if they are observing them of doing something that they disagree with. Now, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old child, how can they discern what's really right or wrong for a parent's action?
Do you know that the communists and the Communist Russia and the Germans did it during the Second World War, or during that period, where they went to the schools and asked the children what their parents thought. And they were able to arrest parents, kill them, do whatever, because it was a way of controlling the citizenry.
People really need to consider homeschooling. I homeschooled my children, and I'm very proud of my daughters. They're strong patriots. And they have many, many skills. I made sure that they had every opportunity to spread their horizon, and they participated in all types of sports, all sorts of career opportunities. They, we fostered, like, if you are in a situation where you have roadblocks. Like, for instance, my daughter wanted to ride horses, okay, when they were young. And at that point in my life, I couldn't afford to board a horse or to purchase a horse. So I thought outside the box, and I found a way to get them involved with horses every single day. And they developed skills, and they got training, they got certified to be able to teach other people how to horseback ride through various types, dressage and English and trail riding, all these different types of skills in the equine world. And we did it at virtually no cost. And actually, they ended up with a nice job out of that, and they enjoyed it a lot. So, we have to think outside the box, and that's what I want to encourage our members in Congress and in the Senate, in the House and the Senate, that they think of ways to stretch those tax dollars. We need to tighten up our belt. We could be debt-free in this country in short order if people would just use their brain and buckle down. We have to do it at home in our own home budgets. We need to do it in our country, in the government.
What do you think of pork bellies?
I'm sorry?
The pork belly funds.
These lobbyists, they need to go home.
Yeah, it's outrageous amounts of money for pork belly funds. They allocate thousands of dollars to clean a statue or to clean a small area that's been dedicated as a monument or whatever. But it's thousands and thousands of dollars. It's like,
wow.
And they allocate this pork belly money, and it's like a ridiculous amounts of money that we're wasting.
You know, and I think a lot of what you're describing, like cleaning a statue, why don't the local community organize and get together and just do it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I have that kind of attitude my whole life where if I see something that needs to be done, I don't wait for somebody else to do it or question why hasn't this happened. I just get in there and do it. Like, what the hell are you waiting for? Just take care of the problem.
Yeah, for example, when we were in the Middle East, I won't mention names, companies, whatever, but there were certain supply companies that were sending equipment to Iraq and Afghanistan for 50 times the amount of money that that thing cost to buy, and it was taking almost 6 months to arrive in theater. We were buying them ourselves out of our own money from Home Depot and getting them there in 3 weeks without having to go through, because a lot of the soldiers didn't have door handles, or they didn't have a window latch, or they didn't have a lock on their door, or they didn't have certain things to do. We were just buying it to do that to help them. We could get it in 3 weeks where they couldn't get it in 6 months. And I'm not lying. One circuit breaker for electrical panel cost nearly $5,000. And you could buy it for
Oh
50.
my God. And you multiply that by the number that they need, that's a lot of waste and fraud.
Exactly. And when you
So whose pocket is getting that? Because that part didn't cost anywhere near that, just a small fraction.
exactly. And I can name names, I can name companies. The problem you have is the system of buying material for the military is a book about yay thick, and it takes you 5 years to study this book to get certified, right? And when you want to change something and simplify it, they say you can't.
This is why the president is doing away with regulations like he has been. You know, I heard it said the other day, I think he's gotten rid of 8 for every one. And he's really been whittling it down, and he's asked all of his secretaries in their various sections of government to do likewise in their areas. And, you know, this is what we must do. Things need to be simple. Keep it simple, stupid, you know, that little.
I look at another thing, and like, for instance, tax, personal tax.
Yeah.
We all have to buy something to live. I don't see why we can't have a 10% VAT tax on everything you buy, except for basic foods, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to buy $1 million house, you pay $100,000 in tax. You want to buy a fancy car, that's what you're going to pay, 10% tax on that. Anything you buy, cigarette, anything, right? At the end of the day, you don't need the IRS. How much money will we save?
Yeah, because that's a big bureaucracy.
Exactly. Who's running?
Of course, the IRS is not even constitutionally legal. So that's a whole nother thing.
Because we're not at war.
So that was all.
It needs to be simplified. Another thing that bugs me as well are property tax. You never own your house.
True.
Because you pay it off, you're still going to pay property tax.
Every year.
Every year. And after 10 years, they're going to come take your house. No matter how old you are, you paid your entire life to do that, to live in that house, they're going to come take it. What should happen is you paying the taxes on that house. And once that house is paid for, there should be no more property tax. You have utilities, obviously. Your town, each town needs to generate their own fund. I see there's no point of raping your citizens when you can't even generate money for yourself, which doesn't make sense.
Very good points you're making, Hawk.
There's a lot. That's why I ask politicians these questions, because we have to think outside the box. A lot of times it's okay to campaign, but when we get to the house up there in the hill, what do they say? They forgot about what happened the day they started, because it becomes you in a cesspool.
Well, one thing that I have learned since becoming a candidate in this district, most of the candidates aren't really aware of what's being put out in their name, or someone's handling them, someone's telling them what to do, or someone else is actually writing their stuff. I have complete and total control over my campaign because I'm a one-woman show. So I've written everything that's been put on my website. I do all my social media. People may disagree with me, but at least you know you're dealing with me directly. You're not dealing with some faceless figure that, then when the person gets to Congress, they're doing the opposite of what they said on social media and in these debates or what have you, because they weren't the ones that wrote the stuff in the first place. So
Yes,
of
and
course it's going to be.
yeah, with that point, sorry. In that point, there was a law they were trying to pass, Democrats were trying to pass not so long ago, where the senator or the candidate that was voted in gets his assistant to go vote for him.
I
Because
saw that.
and that is just wrong. Because what if that they didn't vote the assistant in, they voted the candidate in, and it's his job to go sign this piece of paper or vote for this. Can't I can't find the senator, or the congressman, so let's go we'll decide what's going to happen. So do they go by party lines or do they go by the moral fortitude of that candidate? No,
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi is the one that's behind that measure that was passed recently, just in the past month, I think. And one congressperson can go in there and can vote for 8 other congresspeople that are not present, and it could be for 8 different states. Like, I don't want Nancy Pelosi voting for my congressperson in Florida. Like, she doesn't understand the demographics here. She doesn't know our needs.
So can that be vetoed by the president?
I have no idea. I know it's unconstitutional. The
It's
Republicans.
unconstitutional and should be vetoed because that's fraud.
Yeah, they said that everything that's being passed, this method, will not be legal. It'll be null and void. That's what the Republicans in Congress have been saying.
I have specific thoughts on our last president with regards to his legitimacy, and if it was found that he was an illegal president, everything he signed would be null and void too, right?
Well, he wasn't president, and that's what's so interesting about Biden running against President Trump. Because if Biden were to be elected, he can't serve. He's already had 2 terms, because since Obama was not eligible, that means the vice president is the president, and so he cannot run again.
Yeah, no, what I mean
That's
is,
a little technicality.
yeah, so there's never been a definite proof that Obama was born in the United States. All the Kenyans I spoke to while I was in Afghanistan stated he was born in Kinshasa, and there's evidence of his certificate by his brother. There's never been proof that he was actually in certain colleges in the United States. And when brought up, people seem to get into trouble for these questions. But my theory is just how can I say, a theory. Should they find that he was an illegal president, every law he signed into law would
Null
be
and void.
null and void.
Every treaty, every executive order.
Everything, Obamacare, you go back, and then every single person that vetted him would go to jail for treason. Every single person.
That's what he is an infiltrator. But I feel like I need to say something here about the fact that I've had a lot of friends throughout my life that are gay or lesbian, just because I love all people. I believe in one race, the human race. And people have differences of opinion or desires, what have you. I believe in marriage is a man and a woman. I believe in the family unit. I believe in marriage between a man and a woman in the family unit. That's why our country has been completely, nearly destroyed, is because they've been attacking the family. And but like I said, I've had friends throughout my life that are gay and lesbian. But when an individual runs for the highest office in the land, and they create a deception. They want the people to believe that they are a real live family unit. And they take someone else's children so that two men can look like their husband and wife in the White House, and deceive the people. That's not okay. Like, if he had run for office openly as a homosexual and won, I would have no problem with it. But they deceived the people. And we've all heard the stories. We know what happened at that church in Chicago. They had homosexual sex there with the people that would come to that church. They would have these orgies. There's pedophilia that was going on. We're all waking up to the fact about the adrenochrome and the child sex trafficking that's been going on really for millennia. It's not just been in the last few decades. It's been going on since time began. You know, why humans can do this to a child, I will never understand. Will never understand. But for someone to run for office and deceive the people like this, that is a crime against humanity. It's treason, what they have done. And on so many levels, there's so many aspects of that administration that are completely criminal.
I'm going to make a prediction, and I may be wrong, but I'm almost positive. Donald Trump will win this next election. God help him. Because that is the mandate that everybody's waiting for. And he's going to clean house so bad, they will have nothing. They kept nothing left. And then all these people that have been in there swindling us, he's going to clean house, put them down.
These people that have committed treason against this United States of America, against we the people, they need to pay the ultimate price, because they have created so much destruction in our land. And it's going to take us a lot of time and effort and energy to reverse course and rebuild. And we must. We need revival. We need restoration. We need healing. And I want to encourage people to really pray for that, that we repent of the evils that have been done by our government. You know, perhaps we've lived an upstanding life, you know, personally, but we are part of a nation that has done some very terrible things, like Benghazi, Fast and Furious. The list goes on and on and on. We didn't know about it at the time, but yet we are accountable for it because we are part of this country. So we need to repent of these things, and we need to ask God to heal our land. And pray for revival, for restoration. Personally, and for our government, you know, we need to get back to the way it was intended in the beginning. We acknowledge the fact that we are a nation under God, and it's not a nation under, you know, Allah or Moloch or any of these other entities that some people are worshiping today. In a very real manner. We were established and founded as one nation under God. And if there are people here in our borders that do not agree with our Constitution, they need to pack up and leave, because we hold fast to what we were founded on, and you shouldn't have come here if you don't agree with what we stand upon.
I agree. I hope you enjoyed the show. This is just part one of a candidate interview with Reba Sherrill from District 21, Palm Beach, South Palm Beach in Florida. We need people like this, conservative people like this in our government in the United States. We need people that are willing to fight for the people of America. Having said that, I like all the candidates for this district. Part 2 will follow, and I hope you enjoy the show. Now, please don't forget to subscribe and enjoy the next show. This is the Hawk. I'm out of here.